जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी 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 गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रजनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारि यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय गुरुदेवा 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 नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद हरे। So offer the prayers next. ज्ञातिविरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो श्रीपदाय कृष्ण प्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। So, I will do the Srimad Bhagavatam prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam mudiraye shushushoshasadhanasya vasudeva katharuchi shanmahatsevaya vipra punyartirthanashevnat shanvatam svakatha krishna punyashravana kirtana हृदयंतोस्तव भद्राणि विदुनोति शुभत्सतं नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च चेत एतैरनाविद्धं सिद्धं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवत भक्ति योगतः भगवत तत्व विज्ञानां मुक्त संघर्ष जायते भिद्यते विद्या ग्रन्थिश् छिद्यन्ते सर्व संशया क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 23. एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णेषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णावति भुवो भगवान् अहरत् भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णेषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णावति भुवो भगवान् अहरत् भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में
एकोनविंशे विंशति मे
वृष्णीषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णविति भुवो भगवान् अहरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे विंशति मे वृष्णीषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्ण इति भुवो भगवान् अहरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे विंशति मे वृष्णीषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णविति भुवो भगवान् अहरद्भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति मे वृष्णीषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णविति भुवो भगवान् अहरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे विंशति मे वृष्णीषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णविति भुवो भगवान् अहरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे in the 19th Vimshati me in the 20th also Vrishnishu in the Vrishni dynasty Prapya having obtained Janmani births Rama Balarama Krishna Shri Krishna iti thus Bhuva of the world Bhagavan the personality of Godhead Aharat removed Bharam burden Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In the 19th and 20th incarnations the Lord advented himself as Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty. And by so doing, he removed the burden of the world. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Balarama and Krishna are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learn from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balarama is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladeva, the first phalanx of plenary expansions, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna expands. Lord Shri Krishna is Vasudeva, and Baladeva is Sankarshana. So, as I was preparing for this class, it was kind of like a very humbling experience for me. Because every time I get to this chapter, I tend to just go through it quickly because it's just all mind-boggling to me to learn, all the expansions and incarnations. But I thought that since, when I read the source, I figured I had to have some clarity in my mind to present the subject matter. So I tried to hear from my spiritual master. I tried to hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture, and it was still becoming too much. I said, forget this. Let me, I'm a very visual person, so let me try to, look up all these different flow charts and things like that. and see if like visually I can make sense of, you know, how Krishna is expanding. And so then, you know, I called Mataji for help, and I looked up online, and, you know, still it's like I got it, but I didn't get it. Like it was still, you know, confusing to me. So, you know, right now I'm studying Bhakti Shastri and in Shri Upanishad, you know, we're learning that this transcendental knowledge, you know, it comes, you know, it's a descending process. There has to be some mercy. So, you know, I was just thinking, like, how foolish, like, egoistic of me to think I can do this on my own. I can figure it out, you know. So, you know, I just found it very quite humbling to realize. So I said, okay, let me go back. So I went back, heard my spiritual master's class like again and again, and then eventually, you know, something happened, and I was able to, you know, speak because it was kind of a last-minute request, and I didn't have like enough time to prepare. So, you know, whatever I've accumulated, you know, I'm sure there is always room for improvement. I may make mistakes or, you know, something. So all you senior Vaishnavas, please help me, correct me, and help me learn. So let's see. So first, you know, there is a contradiction that's listed in the purport. So I don't know if anybody caught that. So I'm inviting all you to maybe see if you're able to, you know, see what the contradiction is. Yes.
I don't know. I felt the contradiction was that first Krishna comes, then Balaram comes. Then later Prabhupada says Balaram expands to 4. There is Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Ananda. And then he says Vasudeva is Krishna and Sankarsana is Baladeva.
So yeah, all that is like confusing, right? Yes, Mataji.
I thought the other contradiction is Krishna and Balaram are mentioned in the set of incarnations,
yes,
but actually it says Krishna is not incarnate.
Yes, exactly. So that's the contradiction that Prabhupada points out in the purport, or it's, you know, in the purport that says Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. So, you know, so if you go back, like one of the questions asked by the sages was describe the forms of the Lord as they appear, you know, in this world. And then the beginning of this chapter on 1.3.5, you know, it says, if you can just, I can read the translation. So this form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnation within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. So, you know, in this chapter 3, you know, the answer is coming of the sages. So, so in this this fifth verse, they're saying that, you know, the second manifestation comes, and then all the incarnations are listed. And then the incarnation, Lord Balaram and Krishna is listed. But Prabhupada is saying that is not so. So then how do we, you know, solve this? Anytime there is a contradiction, you know, we have to look at scriptural references and see how we can resolve that. So even, you know, Prabhupada has also given the answer, or, you know, in the verse, the answer itself is there. So maybe, can we see what word? You know, that's my clue. A hint is given in the verse, a word that, you know.
Is it Bhagavan?
Bhagavan, yes, exactly. So, you know, in all the other incarnations, if we see, the word Bhagavan is not mentioned. You know, they will, you know, say like Kala or Shesha, something like that, right? Some of those words are used. But here, the specific word Bhagavan is used. So, you know, maybe let's talk about who Bhagavan is. So this, I took it from the purport of Bhagavad Gita, where 2.2, where first Prabhupada mentions in the purport that absolute truth can be realized in 3 phases. And the last word in absolute truth is Bhagavan. And then he elaborates on the Sanskrit word Bhagavan. So I'm just going to read it. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva, the Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many people who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. So we'll recite the verse. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sajjidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. So then, how do we understand? Because in here it's listing that Lord Krishna is an avatar, right? And that's usually a very common, you can say understanding or misunderstanding by the general mass of people. I had gone to visit a friend, and usually I try to give them something like one of Prabhupada's books, so I'd given them the small Srimad Bhagavatam. And they were just curious, they were asking, and then I spoke to my friend's husband and I said, Lord Krishna is the supreme. That's where all the incarnations come from. And he said, no. He said, no, Lord Vishnu is Krishna comes from Lord Vishnu. So, that is usually the general understanding. And then as I was hearing Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, my spiritual master's class, he mentions in that in one sense, their understanding is not wrong, because just like how we had, Vedas and Vyasadeva divided into Puranas and Itihasas and things like that. So in the Puranas, in Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana, like some of the Puranas in Mode of Goodness, it is mentioned like that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, who is a Purusha Avatara of the Supreme Lord. And then if you ask, who is the Supreme Lord? And they say, well, it's Lord Narayana. So it's important for us to understand that their understanding is not wrong, because it's still based on scriptural references. And we may, sometimes at least, maybe when we're new devotee, this is totally speaking for myself, that we tend to, feel like what we know is the best, Krishna is the supreme, why don't people get this? What is wrong with that? So it tends to give you almost like a sense of pride that I have the best knowledge. But, that obviously is, not pleasing to Krishna, one, and Krishna is unlimited, all these Vedas are unlimited. So when we understand this, it tends to, should bring a respect for others who are following a different path, but it's still based on scriptures. And, we can hear what their understanding is, and we can, explain what our understanding is. And that is where we have to leave it. There is no need to, make ourselves, higher and superior, and they don't know the Krishna is the supreme, so their knowledge is not good. So that's something I learned actually while I was preparing for this class. So respect for others for the path they follow. So that people will certainly ask that why do you ISKCON people are so just about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Why do you consider Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead? So I'm going to refer back to my Sri Upanishad class that the Vedas. So accepting authority. That's where it comes from. As a spirit soul. Faith is very intrinsic to our nature. That's what we're made of. So we put faith in a lot of things, right? Prabhupada gives often this example of man landing on the moon. People didn't see it. People didn't go with the astronauts, but people believed it. The man landed on the moon. And what's their authority? Their authority is the government, it's the media, it's the, what do you call those, newspaper people? Journalists. So that they're accepting their authority. Even for us, just understanding the laws of physics and this and that, even to put our foot, on the floor and having a faith that this floor is going to hold us. It's a faith that gravity is there. So this, this faith is, is there. It's intrinsic to us. And then Prabhupada, puts a good question that then why not put faith in the ultimate truth? Faith we have to put. Why not? What's the ultimate, the absolute truth? And so then, from Sri Upanishad, that it tells us that Vedic knowledge is infallible. And why is it infallible? Because it's free from the 4 defects of our conditioned souls. Just a conditioned soul, just in general, no matter who we take, we have these 4 defects where, we're bound to make mistakes, we're an illusion, we have cheating propensity,
Imperfect sense.
Oh yeah, imperfect senses, yeah. So those 4 things, we have, where this Vedic knowledge, it's a upper Shreya Shabda, so it's a transcendental knowledge, is free from all these defects, and for us, we accept authority. We can tell those people, just as you believe your Padma Purana or Vishnu Purana, our authority is Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, because that is what's given to us by our disciplic succession, Srila Prabhupada, and from coming down from Lord Chaitanya. So in the Bhagavatam, it's going to come later on, but I thought in this verse it was important to mention this verse at least briefly, is text 1.3.28. And then there it says in the Bhagavatam also there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. So the verse is Ete Chamshna Kalapamsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrariya Kulam Lokam Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. So the translation is all the list of incarnations of Godhead submitted here without either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the source of both the Super Soul and the impersonal Brahman. So, like I said, I'm sure this will be discussed further later. And let's see. So, next one is, what I thought was really caught my attention is the last sentence of the translation where it says, Krishna comes to remove the burden of the world. So I've heard this from our dear Dhananjay Pandit Prabhu one time, and I thought it had stayed with me, struck me, and I thought it was very appropriate to explain it here. Is that since we live in this material world, this place of duality, there will always be good and evil. It has to be there. But long time ago, there was demons and demigods and devotees, and there was a separation. They lived on a different planets initially. As the time progressed, I was thinking, I couldn't think of like an example. Can you help me? Like how the demons and demigods lived like on different like planets, like from the scriptures? Like Bali Maharaj and Indra or something like that? Like an example I was thinking too. I have examples for other, but this one I couldn't think of.
I think even Hiranyakashipu.
Or Hiranyakashipu.
They were like somewhere, but they had to come here, conquer, and then occupy the Hiranyakashipu.
Okay, yeah. So then, that was in Satya Yuga, right? So then, as the time went on, their separation got a little closer. So, instead of like different planets, they were just, separated by islands or something. So then we have, for example, and the frequency also, in one sense increased. So we have Lord, Ravana, he lived in Sri Lanka. And Lord Rama was in Ayodhya, and they were separated by, this big ocean. So they still lived kind of far. They only had like one big war. And then, as the time got closer, or as time went on, both of the entities came closer, and the frequency increased. So when Krishna came, the Mathura and Vrindavan aren't so far. They got closer, and the frequency increased. So Krishna was, taking care of demons almost every day. So now this in Kali Yuga, the demons are within us, in form of, just lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion. Like, there's so much is there. The demons are inside us. So not only they're much closer in us, and the frequency is like those, come up like every moment to moment, the frequency is also increased. So, so Krishna has come to remove this burden for this living entity, because those things are not us. They're, as a living entity, those are all like a demon qualities that we have. So Krishna has come to remove this burden in the form of a holy name. We have to be, we want to be serious about killing these demons. And we need to chant, very seriously, with very sincere mood, prayerful mood, and ask Krishna to remove this burden and, help us, help us revive our original consciousness. So just the reference I found that from Krishna, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 7.76, gives us the remedy for this Kali Yuga. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste Eva Naste Eva Naste Eva Gatir Anyatha. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. And then the purport, it says, for progress in spiritual life, the Shastras recommend meditation in Satya Yuga, sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu in Treta Yuga, and gorgeous worship of the Lord in the temple in Dvapara Yuga. But in the age of Kali, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is confirmed in various scriptures. And the purport, is also really wonderful. So, I encourage you to read it. So, in summary, we discussed initially the contradiction that is listed in the purport and how we solve that. And our hint given to us was the Bhagavan feature, the word Bhagavan, and then we elaborated on that, who Bhagavan is. Then we talked about like a common, misunderstanding that people have that Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu based on the Purana references, and understanding this we should be able to give respect to people who are following that path. But for us, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we accept that on the basis of our disciplic succession, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita references. And lastly, Krishna comes to relieve the burden of this world, and for this age he has descended in the form of his holy name. So we accept this Yuga Dharma and try to make our lives perfect by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. So if you...
Thank you so much, Mataji. I was really touched. 3 specific things from my class, and then I have a brief question. First thing, as you were sharing your experience of humbling through this, that's very striking for me. Somehow we got this opportunity to, really speak. For me, I can say I don't even understand everything, but unfortunately I have so much of that strong devotion mentality and academic sort of quote-unquote excellence so far in my
totally relate. Yes.
So with that, it just goes into that devotion mentality again and again. It's very striking for me to, as you were sharing that experience, it seems we got it, but we didn't get it unless it's coming through that mercy. It's very wonderful the way you shared. So I could literally see that, shift of that consciousness from, yes, I am doing it, versus I want to receive it and share this in that service mode. That's very, very striking. Thank you so much for the personal realization. The other thing is, you mentioned about respecting others. That's very kind of prominent. It's been 5 years, but I think that new phase you're mentioning, right? It's like, okay, I got to know this, so this got to be the best. Everybody else, like whatever, they're fools and they don't know. And especially while interacting with, relatives and others, they have been following whatever stuff, whatever path. But that kind of tendency is there. So it's a reminder or kind of a thing for me to pause and take a look at that while during my interactions with them. And then the last thing you mentioned about chanting, that's the only thing. It's very nice. How many other times I hear and I'm like, okay, fine, and I just go about doing things. But again and again, getting the focus back. Thank you so much. I have a question on that. Question in the sense you kind of explained that the other's understanding is not actually wrong. So I was actually feeling, even from Srimad Bhagavatam, you shared from that 135 book, right? So that second incarnation of Purusha. Sorry, my eyes.
Yeah, eyes are really small. You're okay.
I'm okay. Maybe I have to see right off. No. So in that it says the second incarnation. I think it's Govinda Vishnu, but in the purport it says Kshirodakshai Vishnu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that form is like the seed of all other incarnations we are talking about. So in that respect, I think that Vishnu is the source of all incarnation. And here it says that 18th incarnation, Krishna and Balaram came. So on the other hand, that Bhagavan feature and 1328 verse, he is the main person and Krishna is the main, and from him everybody else is coming. So I thought even in Srimad Bhagavatam
it is mentioned, yes, it is also, it's also there, but then, the hint or, for our understanding, the word Bhagavan is there, so that's how we say that, he comes as an incarnation, as a Leela avatar, right? Yeah. But still, he's the Supreme Lord. He can do whatever he likes, right?
Yes.
I mean, he comes at his own sweet will as he likes, so he can come as avatar, he can, I guess, do whatever he wants. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think, hold on, I read that something, hold on, what is that?
1328.
1328, there was one,
Paribhasha Sutra.
I don't know, it was one thing was like really, it says he's counted amongst the avatars, incarnations, because out of his causeless mercy, the Lord descends from his transcendental abode. So, because of his causeless mercy, he comes. Avatara means the one who descends. Yeah, so I think the purport, it maybe answers there.
Yeah, that kind of tells.
Right, yeah. Sure. Questions,
Thank you, Mataji, for especially the summarizing, everything what you spoke towards the end. You just summarized everything. That actually gives what is the take-home message. I think that is a very, very good habit for every person when who is speaking. Like I saw that in Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's classes.
That's where I took it
He
from.
always puts the what do you have to carry home.
Yeah, that's what I learned, like his class last week, and that was really also, so yeah, that's what I thought it was helpful to do.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And Mataji, about that, what you were saying, as you were explaining that it is not wrong to understand Lord comes, even Krishna comes from Vishnu. So there is always some kind of contradiction. This is in Parampara, all the four Paramparas, the four Sampradayas, they have one major contradiction on this issue actually, that Sri Vaishnavas generally say that Lord comes from, Krishna also came from Vishnu, because they understand that Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even beyond Krishna actually. And we strongly say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although there is no difference between both of them. Who came first and who came from whom is always some kind of a question. It is not a question to fight over, but that is that kind of contradiction. So we all might know that example of Krishna is a person at home, whereas Vishnu is a person at office. So he was just like a policeman, wears all this uniform and put a gun and all that. And Vishnu, when he comes to this material world, he is coming to the office, so he has some activities to do, whereas Krishna has nothing to do. So I was hearing from one of the devotees that yes, it is true that Krishna also comes to this world through Vishnu, because that is how the protocol is, that every incarnation comes through the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And it appears that from this material world's perspective, we see every incarnation is coming through Kshirodakshai Vishnu. But then if we go beyond that, then there is the spiritual world where things are, where the hierarchy is different actually.
Yeah.
So there are different Vaikuntha planets, and the topmost planet is Golok Vrindavan. and there we see Krishna to be the Supreme Lord, and he's at home, he's at ease, like he's not following any kind of, just like a person is at home, he doesn't have to like follow all the kinds of rules what he follows at the office. But in Vishnu's planets, he is different. Like, although there is a kind of, we say Madhurya Ras, it's not quite prominently available, but it is there, a little bit of it is there. It's not very prominent, but Golok Vrindavan is the place where it is quite prominent. In this only Dasya Ras is most prominently available. And we can see from the perspective of Rasas also, we can understand that Krishna must be the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, where are the four extra features, the Venu Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri and all that we don't see. And for us there is no problem even if someone says Vishnu is Supreme Lord. But then for the sake of exactly who it is, there is some kind of But then we happily, like Prabhupada also writes in one of the purports, those people who worship Vishnu, Rama and Krishna, they are people who are doing worship in the mode of goodness. So we always encourage them, we always consider them as a fold of Vaishnavas. But as such, if we go into the nitty-gritties of the issue, then that becomes a point of coming into the scriptural differences and finding out exactly what it is. So that is my humble understanding.
Yeah, really nice. We have 10 minutes. There is this one story that I heard. So I'm going to try to remember and narrate it as best as I can. In this regard, like who's the supreme. And so when in Dwarka, there was this Brahmin, you probably know the story, but his every time a son was born, they'll disappear. It will, somehow be gone. So then after, few sons, he started making like a havoc that, what kind of, kingdom is this? What kind of, king is Ugrasena, like he can't take care of his citizens. This is happening here. So, when Arjuna heard that, he said, okay, like this time I'm going to come, I'm going to protect, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to, make sure your son is, doesn't disappear. So, Arjuna comes in with all his military science, like, he creates all this where nothing, can go wrong in one sense. And again, the son, as soon as it's born, disappears. So then Arjuna says, Arjuna has taken a vow that, if I can't save the son, I'm going to, finish myself, like I'm going to, kill myself. So then and I think Krishna goes, looking to, what's going on. So they go through like all these layers of the universe, and then they find the sons with Mahavishnu. And, when Krishna and Arjuna goes there, Mahavishnu says that, I was just hoping to get your darshan, so this is, what I had to do to, bring you here. So, so even Mahavishnu is wanting, darshan of Krishna. So I had this story kind of, fits here. Yeah.
And that interesting conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Venkatavata, that also is there. But these things, we don't find them like, as I was saying, these are not the points on which we argue, but they do a kind of rasa.
It's not like a bullets or something that shoot another person. But it's really sweet actually, because for me, it increases my conviction and faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for me, it is important to know this and to really like understand, not like, okay, everybody is saying this is correct, everybody is correct. I mean, it's correct. What they're saying is correct. It's not wrong in one sense, right?
Right.
But at the same time, it's not like, actually speaking, there are very few Sri Vaishnavas who really understand this whole thing. I mean, it's not, Sri Vaishnavism is not wrong, but there are people who are not following everything in everywhere. So then randomly if I say my relative, right, people keep arguing, they're not following anything. So they need to be routed to something, you know.
Yes.
So if they say Narayana, so, well, of course, then where is this evidence? Go and study, go research, go do that, you know.
Right.
Connect them to the scripture rather than just accepting and respecting, okay, you are correct, I am correct, everybody is correct. That's not going to help anybody, you know, like I'm connected to a disciplic succession. Another person is there who has a difference of opinion, but let them find a disciplic succession for them. If they don't find it, then come. Here is it. We have a disciplic succession ready here.
Yes.
Why are you running from and looking? You know, we have right here. You know, just come and just do whatever you want to know. It's all you.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that if a person is really practicing a parampara like Prabhu said, right, and a maturing stage comes where they acknowledge everything. That's what a parampara means. It's like, okay, this is Brahma Sampradaya, this is Sri Sampradaya, they're not fighting. But it's like when maturity is there, there is actually understanding and appreciation rather than fight that happens, you know.
Yes.
But if there is no, there are people who randomly speak these philosophies without having a parampara. Then they can't come to any resolution because they don't have descending mercy.
Yeah.
It's just their opinion that I have heard from childhood. It's not based on Shastra. I have heard from childhood. My grandmother told. You know, it's like authority is not Shastra.
Yeah.
Authority is what I have learned in this life.
Right.
That is very small.
That's very small.
What I have learned in this life is useless actually.
Yeah.
So whatever I learned is after this one. So that way I feel like it's not like everybody, whatever they say, it's all fine. But for us to have an understanding that yes, it is coming from the scripture, as long as they speak from the scripture. They don't speak, okay, here that I have 18 volumes, right? Why are you not? It's not that difficult to find scripture these days.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel. You know. Yeah, it's a very important point to respect. But respecting means that we connect them to their source of faith.
Right.
If that source is genuine. Like if the source is not genuine, then we have to route them, okay, find out.
Oh, here, yeah.
Otherwise respect becomes very superficial. That's what I feel. We don't do any good for anybody. But the thing about that you're sharing about the contradictions and solving the contradictions, that was very nice. The appreciation that I have is like all our Prabhupada books so much go hand in hand. Few times you quoted Ishopanishad and few times you quoted Bhagavad Gita. These are not individual, like separate identities where we get conflicts, but they are like symphony, whatever they say, some musical compositions. It's a symphony, you know. It's like somebody sings high pitch, somebody sings in harmony, and it's all like nice. So thank you so much for bringing everything together and presenting it. I wasn't sure what to speak on this verse if I were given, because it's like Krishna and Balaram. What is that? But thank you for going through it.
You know, last week when Chaitanya and Prabhu, when he presented that, I was scheduled to speak last Sunday. And when he spoke, and I looked at that verse, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how do you? So I was so happy. I'm like, but then I came to this verse, and I'm like, this is already easy. So anyway,
make it so granted, Krishna and Balaram. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Prabhupada.
Now, Prabhu didn't share.